Hi, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Leire, and today I'm gonna be talking about my favorite horror movies and why they're my favorite. In the future, I plan on doing like a more in-depth video with like specific subgenres and my favorites of every single subgenre. But right now, I'm kind of go more into broad films I really enjoyed or have like a specific thing that I really like in horror, so maybe that way you can kind of know what I like in horror and give me recommendations or something, because right now I do feel like I'm kind of stuck in like I'm watching a lot of horror movies that I'm not really enjoying, and I'm watching a lot of trash, and I think maybe if I share like my interests and stuff, maybe you can also discover some horror films you have never heard before, hopefully. And yeah, like seeing those specific things that I may like, then you might have some recommendations for me as well. It's, fun like that. And I know my channel is kind of being a bit all over the place, but I kind of want to just go with the flow and do whatever I feel like doing that week. So yeah, if you're up for that, just stick around and subscribe and follow me in my other social medias. You know how it goes. So yeah, let's get into my favorite horror movies. I don't know if this is like an unpopular opinion, I'm not sure, and this, I know I'm biased 100%, but House of Wax is a film that I was really bored and I was scrolling, I think it was HBO, and then sorry about the sounds, someone's cleaning around, I hope it's not very annoying. I was scrolling, I think it was through HBO. I was home alone. When I'm home alone, it's when I prefer watching horror movies so no one bothers me, and I was just scrolling through HBO and trying to see if it was like there was something that would be interesting, and I saw House of Wax, and I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it before, so I was just like, sure, I'm gonna watch it, and I didn't have any expectations. I was honestly expecting it to be very bad, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It was like entertaining, fun. I was kind of tense, not really like scared, but very tense. And then at the end credits song is Helena by My Chemical Romance, and I just got so hyped up. So that obviously altered my feelings for the movie, because it was such a like sweet treat at the end having Helena. So yeah, I think that's the main reason why I really enjoyed this film. I was so surprised by hearing it and just like started singing, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And then Helena came and I loved it. Yeah. My favorite horror movie is Sinister, and I'm gonna tell you why specifically. The story is basic, this guy goes into a house and he's like there to write a book about what has happened there, and the family that was killed and the girl disappeared, blah blah blah. And throughout the film, as the guy is investigating, you get these tapes and he watches them, and it's about the different ways other families that have lived there have died. And I just loved that, like watching the different ways the family was, unalived, and it always had like a funny title that related to the way the family was dying. Like one was like Family Barbecue, and it started like Happy Family Barbecue by the lake, and then they were all burning inside of a car. And the one with the pool, that they're just happy in the pool and then they're being drowned. I just thought it was very entertaining to watch, very creative, and so many possibilities. There were so many possibilities in it. And also I liked that the ending wasn't good. Like they escaped from the house, obviously, which is quite satisfying when you're watching a horror movie and you're like, get out of there, and they do, but they still can't escape this thing, and they end up, you know, it's not a happy ending. And I think in horror that's important, you know, not every film has to have a happy ending, and I really liked it. I really liked this film. Another film I really liked was Dusk. It's not really scary, but I was so entertained by it. Like, I don't know, it's silly, it's funny. I was entertained. I liked it, and I would rewatch it. And it's a film I do tell my friends about, and I'm like, we should see it. Another horror that I really, really like, and I feel people don't really talk about it that much, is My Little Eye. And I think it's because I watched it a few years back, and I had never seen anything like this before. I wasn't really into the found footage kind of thing, and like, you know, the recording kind of film that looks like it's being you're seeing it through cameras. So yeah, I was really surprised and just really entertained by it. It's not like a great movie, I wouldn't say, like it's not that great, but yeah, it shocked me. I was surprised by it, and yeah, I think people should see it. I don't really remember it much, but I remember that 2 years ago I used to watch it a lot because I thought it was so funny, and I had such a huge crush on Matthew Gray Goobler. It's suburban gothic, and yeah, it's just silly and funny, and Matthew looks great, and that's all I need, you know? So yeah, I don't know if I was rewatching it just because he looked great or the movie itself, but here you go, recommendation. I don't know. American Mary is another film that I really, really liked, but I do also have some issues with it. Like the whole, I'm very tired of the girl gets raped, and that's what motivates her to doing something and becoming like strong and badass and start doing her thing. I'm very tired of that. It's true that it was very satisfying seeing her like avenge what happened to her and get revenge on this guy, and they did it, in my opinion, better than in the film like Spit in Your Grave. But at the same time, it still made me angry that they had to use rape for it to work as a film, and I wish they had found another way. And also there are little bits of her character that didn't really make sense after what had happened to her, but in itself, like, the film is really, really good. I really like the concept, really entertaining, and I actually dressed up as American Mary this past Halloween, and it was really fun, and I'll probably do it again sometime because I just loved the whole covering myself in fake blood that I did myself, by the way. So yeah, you should watch it, but be mindful of those kind of topics if they trigger you. Another film, this is kind of short, it's called Host, and it's like some friends on a video call and they're gonna do like a seance, I think, something like that, and they're not taking it seriously, but then something start happening to each of them on the face call, and I think it's like recorded during like COVID, so like they do mention COVID and stuff, but I don't know why. I was watching it and my brother was home, but apart from that I was like alone. My mom was working the night, and I started feeling very scared. And it's not like the movies is scary. I think that day I was just like overwhelmed with something, and then something was happening in my house. Like someone started knocking at my door, and my brother came to me running, being like, what the fuck is going on? So it was like things happening that kept making me more and more scared, and I didn't want to keep watching the movie because I was so scared. But I don't think it had anything to do with the movie itself. Like the film, you don't really see much of what's going on. It's just tense, it's also fun, and it's entertaining, and I think it's a good horror if you're in for like a short film. I think it's like 52 minutes long or something like that. But yeah, it's very entertaining and I do recommend it. False Positive is another film that when I watched it, I was really angry watching it because the whole pregnancies and stuff makes me angry and anxious. And like the topic of the film, it was making me really angry and really anxious. But I do remember that I ended up, like, I ended the movie and I was like, wow, I liked it. Like, it was good, it worked, it made me feel some type of way, which is what I want when I'm looking for a horror movie, you know? Session 9 is another one that I watched while I was sick. I was home alone, my parents were working, I was sick, I should have been at school, and I was looking through Netflix. I saw this film, Session 9. I started watching it, and at the time I didn't get to finish because my dad got home and we had to eat lunch and stuff. And then a few years later I remembered it and I started looking for the title because I remembered that I was really enjoying it, and I found it on a random day on TikTok. So I was like, I'm watching it tonight, and I saw it full, like beginning to end, and I really enjoy it. And I remember it had like some voice recordings of like patients in a psychiatric hospital or something like that, and the whole plot were like this construction workers that were like building something inside the psychiatric hospital or something like that, and they were like experiencing some like supernatural stuff. I love supernatural horror. If you have like recommendations about that, give them to me because I need more supernatural horror. The Woman is another film that I enjoyed and hated in equal parts. It's basically this like feral, savage woman, and a guy takes her and he's basically like using her and abusing her, and his son is like doing the same thing. And yeah, it's like so bad, and I hated both of them. And it's true that the end is satisfying somehow, but not satisfying enough. Like, it's more satisfying than spit in your grave, but not satisfying enough for me to be like, okay, it's worth watching. So it's weird because I enjoyed the film and I liked the ending, but throughout I was such rage inside of me. Like, it was so bad. I was feeling so angry. The Grudge, like the original The Grudge, like the Japanese The Grudge, I'm pretty sure was the first horror movie I saw, like the whole way through. I was really young. It was with my mom. I might have been 3, 4, something like that. And I remember I was so scared, and the whole, like the sound on the phone, the I used to do it. My grandma would be so scared, but I loved it. And I think that's kind of what started everything for me. And yeah, it will always like hold a place in my heart. The Conspiracy is a film that I do believe everyone should watch, even if you don't like horror, because I was watching it and it really made me think about other conspiracies. Like, it's not very deep or anything. It's just, once again, an entertaining film I don't know if we would consider this found footage. Once again, you're seeing everything through like a camera, and I do think it's like a lighter horror if you want to watch it with like someone who doesn't really like to be scared. But I do think it's a very interesting, fun, and disturbing film, and I was very surprised by it because once again I watched it without any expectations, and I ended up really liking it and enjoying it a lot. And I've recommended it to all of my friends who don't like horror because I do think they will still enjoy it and find it enjoyable in some way. So The Conspiracy, watch it. Gone Jam Haunted Asylum, it's also a really good found footage supernatural horror film, really scary, really effective with like jump scares and the noises around. And I do think if you want to be scared, you will feel like disturbed and anxious. The Bay is a film I was so surprised by and liked so much. Like, I'm very like, I get very paranoid about things like what's in the food we eat, what's in the water we take, what's in the things we drink, in the air around us. So this was like scary for me. You're just like thinking about how this situation, it's a real possibility in real life, and after, you know, COVID and everything, we know we wouldn't be able to handle anything like this. So it's scary for me. It was very scary. Those situations are scary, and I have a very hard time. The Poughkeepsie tapes, I really enjoyed it. The whole like watching the different tapes of the serial killer, how this is kind of like a documentary, because I really do enjoy like crime documentaries. So this is like a fake one, and then you see like the victim that's like so psychologically damaged that she's like so dependent on this serial killer, and he has completely brainwashed her. And it's like very interesting, very compelling, and disturbing as well. I do think it's quite a disturbing film, but I really enjoy it. I really like it. Martyrs, you know, it's a film we all know, and I do think it's really, really good, really disturbing, and keeps you wondering. So if you haven't seen it, watch Martyrs. It's really good. Another French one that I really like was À l'intérieur, so it's called Inside in English, and it's, you know, it follows like a pregnant woman, and there's this other woman that wants to get like the baby. It has like home invasion kind of thing, and I was really feeling like my heart was racing for this. So I do really recommend it. I do think it's really great, really disturbing, and the ending also quite effective. I don't know if this is like an unpopular opinion, but it's Cobweb. I think it's from last year, I'm pretty sure, and it's just like my kind of thing. Like, the whole film you're thinking is one thing, and you're so tense for this child and what's gonna happen to him, and you're rooting for him, and like the second you realize he did the wrong thing, it's like too late already. And when you figure it out, it's like it's too late, and then the real bad thing comes out. And all the film you're like, did the parents do this? Did the parents do that? Is the kid just imagining things? Are the parents like provoking a delusion in the child? Is this like actually happening? You know, just like, oh, I was so tense, and I ended up with this feeling of like emptiness somehow. I don't know. I really like enjoyed the feeling though. It was just like so much tension building up throughout the film, and like asking myself questions of, is this the answer, or is that, or is this happening? Is this his imagination? Are the parents like doing something to him? Are they abusive? Are they like killers, you know? And then everything, just everything is, I really liked it. I loved it. And it's not really scary. Once again, it's not, it doesn't have like jump scares or like blood and killing, and you know, you're not scared for your life and like running and escaping something. It's like you ask yourself questions and you're like imagining the worst outcome possible for this child and what's going on in his life, you know? It's like you're creating the worst things in your head, and I really liked it. I don't know how to explain it. I just really liked it, and I watched it with my mom, and when we left the cinema she was like, I didn't like it, I wasn't scared. And for me it was just like, you don't get it, you didn't get it. It's so sad, it's so sad. But for me it was effective and the story was good. I also think the casting choices were really good, because you know, the dad plays Homelander in The Voice, so it's like you're already expecting him to be fishy, you know? So this has been my favorite horror movies. In the future I'll probably do horror films that I hate, because there are a lot of films that I hate. And yeah, leave me recommendations in the comments, because I need good horror films. I'm quite desperate right now. I need actual good recommendations. So yeah, have a good morning, night, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!